Hello. I'm doing a super short stream today, just so that I uh, get one in as I'm trying to transition back to doing more regular coding streams. And I guess one thing that I should walk walk folks through is that offline, I I made a change to the infrastructure that I'm using, and I added support for a continuous integration system. And right now, what it does is that whenever I submit a change or a PR, you might consider it like a PR. And if we were in GitHub world, it will run a pre-submit, which is running using Tecton. It just runs on the Kubernetes cluster and it votes on the change. And you can see here that the first few builds failed, and then I fixed the failure was actually in the I needed to make a change to the CI script itself, and then it voted +1 on this change. So now I should be able to just code review to it, and then that should be enough to be able to submit. And then there are some rules, some logic rules saying who has to vote, what are the conditions on voting before you can submit, and those sorts of things. And then here's just the dashboard. There's one thing that was maybe a little bit confusing to me, which was that I had expected that I could make a Tecton pipeline just so that at the end of the pipeline, it would, like the last task would be to vote. And that ended up being, I'm sure that there was a way that I could make that work, but that ended up not being easy the way that Tecton works. I did this a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember the details of what issue I was running into. But what I ended up doing is that when the build succeeds, I think the Bazel test is the build that actually runs the test. Then what it does is Bazel test. The last thing it does is, or rather, the task following it emits a cloud notification, and or rather a cloud event, I think it's called. And then not Garrett, but Tecton has another listener that listens for cloud events, and when it gets a cloud event with a certain configuration, it votes on Garrett. So that's how that works. And I think that's probably a better structure than what I was trying to do anyway, because now we have this event structure that we'll be able to modify and scale a little bit better if we ever get to the point to the point of scaling something. So where does that put us? Again, for those who haven't seen the earlier episodes, I'm building what I'm considering like a toy app in Haskell. The main point at this point has been to use this as a test subject to get all of the infrastructure together the way that I want it to go. But the last video I posted was kind of cleaning up the database layer code. So now we can talk to a database. We are able to send RPC messages using gRPC. And we have a reasonable build environment set up. We have a reasonable code review environment set up. And we have now an acceptable, I'll call it CI system, and all of these points are ready for extension. In my experience, a lot of this stuff, the hard part is getting the initial setup correct. And then once it's set up, it's not so hard to incrementally add the features you need. But often the setup is like you have to read the documentation and in some cases read the code and try to figure out all the things that the documents don't say explicitly, or all the weird things you're trying to do that they weren't expecting you to do. And so I'm pleased with the fact that all that's set up. The next thing that I want to do is since this app is about allowing essentially bookmarking articles, I want to begin adding the bit that fetches a an HTML document given a URL. I haven't fully decided how I want to do that. I think that one reasonable place to start would be just to have in Haskell just call wget and defer to wget as the way of mirroring the site. We don't need to mirror everything, and we don't need to fetch recursively. We just need to download a site to disk. And I think that Haskell has some pretty nice utilities for just calling shell functions. So I guess I'll try that. I'm not sure. Hey, what's up? I'm not sure if that if I'll be able to get that done, but we'll see. Somewhere I have a chat doc in OBS, but all of my windows have all of their icons are gone. Let's cancel that. Hey, here we go. Hey, Ascore. What's happening? Oh, okay. All right. So let's see if I'm just gonna have. I guess this will go in backend. And now we have this SQL.hs thing. And what is this SQL folder? It's nothing. I moved it to a DB folder. I guess SQL stuff can live here, but I guess what I'm going to call this, I guess I'll call it wget.hs. And I have no idea really how to do this. I'm just going to have the AI write as much of it for me as I can. I'll say write a Haskell function that maybe a Haskell module that takes a URL as a command line argument, calls wget, and makes a copy of the page at the given URL, including image files. And I bet Gemini is decent at doing this. And in fact, I'm going to ask, just as a fail-safe, I'm going to ask ChatGPT to do it because I'm not really sure what Gemini's coding level is supposed to be. There's also, what is it, ai.google.com or something? There's some other interface to Gemini that is slightly better, right? Is it called Gemini Pro? Is it just ai.google? Here's labs.google. I don't know what that is. No, I don't know. I guess I'll have to find it some other time. But there's some other place that I've been to where you can upload larger amounts of tokens. Okay, so ChatGPT has tried to do this for me. Gemini has tried to do this with me. Gemini has syntax highlighting for Haskell, so we'll try this. And this module defines 3 functions. We have extract directory, which takes a URL as input and extracts the directory path from the file name part of the URL. What? Well, let's paste this in and then look at it in Emacs and see what's going on. All right, so we've got system process, system directory, and system file path. That's maybe a little bit. I don't know if that's what I want. And so we're calling call process. That's not so bad, assuming that's a real thing. I don't know what Q and P are. Do I have wget installed here? Maybe Q is quiet. Q is quiet, and what's P? Okay, so P is page requisites. It calls this wget to download all the files that are necessary to properly display a given HTML page. Yeah, that's what I want. This seems pretty easy. Okay, and I'm going to call process. I'm going to pass it the URL and the local file, where I guess local file is maybe the directory where I want it to go. Where local file equals extract directory of local file. Sorry, local dir. Okay. That sounds reasonable. And then download page is going to take the URL and some other string, I guess the local file, and do some IO. Then we're going to call extract directory again. This seems redundant with some of this functionality. And then we'll check we'll check if the directory exists. If not, we'll create it. I'm not gonna reason about whether this is actually like syntactically correct. I guess the Haskell compiler will tell us if it's not. And then we'll download the file by calling wget URL local file. I don't know why. It seems like at this point we just might as well pass in the directory because we're not using local file here. But I guess Gemini wrote this part first, and so it doesn't know that it will later implement this local directory thing. And I'll call this local dir. Then this will download the HTML file, extract all the links, replace this with actual with actual HTML parsing. So it says that it will get those links, and it's trying to iterate over the links and getting like image files. But since we're calling -p, I think we can just assume that wget will do that. So I'm just going to ignore all of this stuff, and by ignore I mean delete. And then we have some argument parsing. And so if we don't have one argument, then we'll print out this usage statement. This is like a, we're not using an option parsing library. We're just doing things the old school way, which is totally reasonable. Gemini's trying to watch out for my need to not have too many dependencies. And then if we're not erroring out, then we get the URL is the head of args. I guess args doesn't necessarily include the program name, but we'll see. And then file name is we're going to call take file name on the URL. I don't know if take file name is a real thing. Let's find that out. I guess so. Haskell stuff is coming up, and I didn't tell it to look for Haskell. And then we're calling download page, URL, file name. Oh, I see. I see now why it has download page. No, but that's fine because, yeah, all right, whatever. Okay, so this seems actually pretty reasonable. It's reasonable enough that the next test that we will do is to see if it compiles. And maybe it will. This will be a Haskell binary. and we will call it wget. We have to give it a module name. Or do we? What if I just give it no module name? I'll call it module wget. And then we're presumably actually depending on stackage base, like everything else is. And then we need system process, system directory, and system file path, which I'm not sure where those are, but maybe they are already things that I know about in my workspace file. Oops. So let's take a look at system file path. But what pack is, I guess maybe the package is just file path. Is that how this works? This may be something that I can use Hugel for. Or am I supposed to use Hackage? I don't know the Haskell ecosystem really well. Hugel's for searching for type things. Essentially like searching for type signatures and getting back functions that implement it. But I don't know if you can search for like file path, package file path. Yeah, maybe you can. But can I search for like system.directory? Is this the package? Packages directory. So, okay, so let's try adding file path and directory. And then process, right? No, what? Yeah, it's just called process, I guess. Okay. It doesn't come after Q, but I'll alphabetize it in a second. And I guess I can just try to build wget, which will take forever because it has to rebuild stackage, unfortunately. This is the, yeah, never mind. And I guess while it's building, I might as well do something useful and start working on my a git commit. So there's a couple of things here. One is, why are these proto things changing? Oh, I guess that's just from the alphabetization. So quick check is a thing that I added. And lens family core, that's just from alphabetizing. Oh, and so is quick check actually, so never mind. Let's unstage that. And we'll just stage everything all at once, except for the new stuff that I'm adding. Okay, and then these files are untracked because they are generated files. And does that mean I shouldn't track them? I think I probably should track them. Let's see, track generated job proto files. Except I'm not going to do that because that's going to, I want to be able to edit this this wget commitment, and that's going to, adding a new commit's going to interfere with that. Okay, so it can't load system directory. Okay, so I think this is just because I haven't put it in my imports yet. So I need to add directory file path and what is the other process? So there are tools like maybe Buildifier, I forget what it's called. There are tools that will like read the Haskell file and generate the correct build dependencies. And that's useful because what Bazel is doing is the fact that you list dependencies for each like file is the way I'm doing it. That means that this build file is or rather the collection of all of the build files in the whole source tree forms an adjacency list for a graph and in particular like the build graph of the project. And so Bazel is able to assemble all of those build files together and build a big graph and to reason about it. And that kind of contrasts with a lot of other build systems where you might like just you might list all of the dependencies in your project in kind of one big list, one like flat list. And the downside there is the system doesn't know which dependencies go with which source files. And so as a result, it's not really able to optimize things the way that you can if you have the whole graph worked out ahead of time. Okay, so get args is a thing that's not in scope. I'm not sure it's a thing that exists, but it probably does. So how do I use it? It's in base. No, not that. I don't want that. I want like a tutorial. How does get args work? Do I need to import system environment? Yeah, maybe. Okay, so I can't match expect type IO with this. Call process is applied to too few arguments in the expression. Okay, so there's something wrong with the call process. Call. And is that I think the way that the errors work is the first error is I guess maybe the first error is just the earliest error. And then the rest is just an unwinding. Okay, so let's look at call process. Actually, this would be maybe a good. So call process should take a file path, a list string, and return IO of nothing. Is that what we're doing? I think so. It's somehow objecting to this string stuff. So what if I, just for fun, let's get rid of this getArg stuff. I don't know if we're gonna have a white spacing issue, but let's try let URL equal example.com. I don't think that's going to change anything, but I just wanted to make sure that that was not an issue. Okay, yeah, I don't immediately see what's going wrong. URL seems to be a string. wget is a string. Negative q is a string. Negative p is a string. Local dir should be a string. And let's try GHCI. Do I have it? Okay. Okay, yeah, so I get the same issue. What if I just call like ls? Yeah. Okay. So it doesn't like the, is it expecting a car? Expected car, actual type string. What am I missing? Is call process expecting? It looks like call process expects a list of strings, right? Do I get examples? Oh, well, first of all, it takes a file path. Oh, hang on. Oh, I see. Yeah, so the first argument should be a file path. Okay, and then what is the file path? Is the file path the thing you're supposed to be calling it on? How about call command? Let's try call command. It doesn't like that either. In the expression ls in the first argument, namely ls. What if I ask for the type of call command? Oh, it takes a string. Yeah, it doesn't take a list of strings. Okay. So I can call ls. And then if I want to call, oops, don't do that, me. And then if I want to call process, can I do, I don't know if this is the first argument, but let's try it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So that's the issue. The first argument should be, instead of putting the name of the command in the string, rather in the list, we put it out here. And I guess it probably wants a real path. I don't know if I want to give it a real path though. What if I just say ls? Seems to work. All right, let's try that. Variable is not in scope. wget. Oh, it's because I didn't quote it, right? Yeah. Cool. Okay, so I have index.html. Great. All right. So that's going to download into some directory. Let's make sure, see if that compiles. And we've got this module thing that it doesn't like. And why was that? I thought I got around that by making it a one name module. Okay. What if I have no module thing here? Okay, so it likes that better. Okay, so now I should be able to do Bazel run, except I'm going to have to do this in a shell, and it's going to have to start compiling all over again. But if I run, okay, I downloaded example.com and linked files. Where are they? I have no, I have no idea. Probably in the Bazel symlink forest somewhere. So let's try to see if we can find them. Maybe Bazel out. Okay, so I think it's in this run files index.html. But what does that mean about what the extract directory thing is? So we're going to call extract directory on the on local file to get the directory. Okay. Except I want so we're okay. So extract directory is going to just get the directory name. So maybe I did want the call to extract directory in wget file. No, I don't. What I want though is I want yeah, hang on. Where does local file come from? So when we go to download page. Oh, okay. So we call take file name on the URL to get the file name. And then we call download page on the URL with that. And I think that maybe what I want to do is call with the directory perhaps. I don't want just index URL. I want example.com index URL if I can get it. But that didn't seem to do anything. So let's see if we can put strline on the file name. Will this recompile? It will, right? Downloaded dot and linked files. Okay. But why is it not? So it thinks the file name is example.com. Here, that's good. What if I remove this file? Yeah, okay, so that is the file. And then the question is, how do I get it to say example.com/index.html? Let's try printing the I don't know if that's syntactically correct, but I think it's close. No? Okay, so it thinks that the directory name is dot. Is that right? Just to make sure my string concatenation attempt is not failing. Okay. All right, so for whatever reason, when we call extract directory on the local file, we get just a dot. Can I do this? Oh, it wasn't objecting to the lack of parentheses. It was objecting to the lack of proper capitalization. Yeah, okay. So the file name is example.com and the directory is dot. And I want the directory to not be dot. And we get the directory from extract directory on the local file. And down here, the local file is just called file name. And what did, I thought we decided that was example.com. And so the thing that's being passed in is already the directory. So what if we just let dir equal local file? Will that work? Seems better. There we go. Okay. So we didn't need this extract directory after all. Is this the only place it's called? Yeah. Well, screw this function. I guess we do want a system environment. We don't need the printf debugging anymore. We can try adding in the argument parsing again. Okay, and let's try another. Let's try the Wikipedia page on ants. paste it, you jerk. Okay, so I have an ant directory. And it gives me, okay, so I have ant/ant. That's not what I want. And so I think this take file name is not what I want. So I'll tell Gemini, replace take, okay. So in the main function, replace take file name URL with a function that extracts the, what is it just called? Is it just called the domain? So URL format. So the URL format pieces all have official names. If I just ask for the domain, it might just give me like HubSpot.com. Maybe I want the fully qualified domain. The fully qualified domain name. Domain names might also contain other hosts. For example, ftp.google.com or mail.google.com. So if you put the subdomain with the domain, it is known as the FQDN. I'll just call it that. Extract FQDN. No. No, don't use homegrown parsing. I want you to use a stable Haskell URL parsing library. Network.uri. Fine. That sounds official. And what is extract? Okay. Maybe string. Maybe empty string. I guess this is trying to say like, I don't know. But so parse URI of the URL is going to parse it, and then you're asking for the host, and then maybe I guess is gonna, I don't know. Is that like if this doesn't work, you get this thing? But I'm not sure if maybe is a function. Is maybe a function? Let's ask ChatGPT. So given URL, write a Haskell function to parse the fully qualified domain name of the URL, I guess for the URL, using a well-respected Haskell URL parsing library. It's doing the same thing. I want to know if these AIs are copying each other, because I didn't say to extract FQDN like I did here. So why is it producing like almost exactly the same function with the same name? Is it just copying from code that already does that? Okay. So let's see if there's just like code out in the wild. Nope. I mean, there might be, but okay. So let's take a look at the URI library itself. Is it network.uri? And then there's network.url. I don't know. Is parse URI really a thing? So parse URI will take a string and give you a maybe URI. And then we have a reference for it. This is different from the previous network URI, whose parse URI function works like parse URI reference. It returns nothing if the string is not a valid URI reference. An absolute or relative URI with what? Okay, so something about references. Do we get okay, so what can we do with a URI? We can get its scheme, the authority, its path, query parameters, and a fragment. And I guess the authority is the thing that includes the domain name. Reg name. What is a reg name? Okay. So with that in mind, let's take a look at this chat GPT stuff. So it says extract. So we'll get a maybe string. That seems more plausible than what Gemini was doing. We'll call import URL on the URL string. And then whatever absolute is, URI auth host underscore. Okay, so I'll ask ChatGPT, what is absolute doing? Do I get syntax highlighting if I turn off dark mode? I don't think so. So absolute is a constructor of the URL type. Okay, an absolute URL. Great. So ChatGPT seems to be more correct. Let's ask Gemini in a new chat, just in case having less context is easier for it. Oopsie, nope. that has no, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, let's try this again. Write a Haskell function. So to use network.uri to parse the domain name of a URL. And so it comes up with this. So get a maybe string, that's good. We call parse URI on the URL to get a URI. And if the authority is nothing, then we can do some error handling. And then, okay, so that actually looks good and a little bit cleaner than whatever this is with this absolute stuff. So I guess we'll try this. Okay, so we're going to import network URI. I guess we just leave this up here. This probably won't compile. So obviously we don't have this import. I guess network URI might be the thing that it's called. And then we need to add it to the workspace file. And the question is, will it type check? And I just realized something. It might take a while. I'm guessing it won't type check though. At any rate, let's do the. Yeah, so we're returning nothing here, which is fine. So we need to here, instead of take file name, we're going to call that function. But now we've finished compiling, so I'll hold that thought. Let's fix the types before I make any more changes. Variable not in scope. URI authority. And URI reg name. In general, I want to use qualified imports, but doing kind of like one thing at a time here. Okay, so so take file name we're going to replace with whatever this thing is called, parse domain name. And then I need to do some sort of case analysis. I don't know if I still want let here, but I guess. How do I want to do this? So I guess I can just exit failure if this is nothing. But you know what? That's literally what I'm going to do. But I want to I'm not sure what the right idiom here is. So do people just break maybe case analysis using case of? I've done this before, but I can't remember. I guess people just use cases. All right, I'll try that. All right, so I'll call this maybe file name. I don't think this is the right way. This seems a little bit ugly, but it'll do for now. I think I can just do this in do notation, right? And then I need exit failure. I forgot to do lowercase. Okay. So it says it downloaded them, but is it lying? Why is my screen all being weird? Yeah. Okay. So now we have en.wikipedia.org, and we have ant. And ant, I guess, is the HTML file. But I don't want the no. Is that what I want? What is the HTML file even called? Is it just called ant? I guess it is just called ant. Is that how Wikipedia works? Or is this a directory with like an index? Yeah. Okay. So I guess it is just called ant. All right. So I think that works. And shall I try one more? How about banana? And so if I look in Wikipedia, I should have multiple files. Okay, great. So that does just what I wanted to. I assume that I'm supposed to alphabetize my imports. I don't know. I really want to import these all as qualified, but that's going to involve changing things, and I don't want to change them yet. And is there anything that's just like totally extraneous? I don't think so. I guess I'll catch it in code review. And that's that. So I'll call it a day here. The next infrastructure thing that I need to do for this whole thing is I need to install Ceph or something Ceph-like. I've been running on NFS and some combination of NFS and local file systems, and I'm at a point where it's annoying enough to deal with the kind of ragtag way I've set things up, where I want to have more of a system where I can just like throw additional drives at it and have it integrated a little bit better with the Kubernetes cluster. So I think I'm going to do that. I'll probably do that off camera, maybe tomorrow. And then once Ceph is set up, I'll have a reasonable way to, instead of writing these files to the local Bazel directory, I'll be able to write them either to like an S3 like object storage or just like shared block storage. And then I'll also be able to set up a Bazel cache because that's the other thing that's been causing me trouble, that the CI system takes a long time to run each test because it's starting from scratch, and to cache all of the Bazel stuff remotely needs more like free space in the shared file system than I currently have, and so setting up Ceph will enable me to set up the Bazel cache as well. Okay, so that's all for me.